Hey guys, in today's video we'll be looking at play-ins day 3. I'll be explaining how the group system works for play-ins now that Group B has finished all their games. And once again, all the stats in this video I've gotten from Game of Legends Esports, which is a website that does all stats for League of Legends esports games. So yeah, I'll leave a link in the description for that website. So yesterday saw 6 games take place, 4 of which were normal group games and 2 were tiebreakers. As you can see, Victory 3 lost to LGD. This was quite expected. LGD, even though not looking very good, Victory 3 has been by far probably the worst team in the tournament so far. Their drafts have been abysmal, and we'll be looking more into their drafting in a separate video that will come out at some point. I'm not too sure when. Next game we had Rainbow Seven versus Unicorns of Love. Now this was probably the upset of the day, as I like to call it, where Rainbow Seven, who have not been looking all that consistent but have had some high highs, compared to Unicorns of Love, who have been the second best team in the group so far. So Rainbow Seven coming away with the win is good for them, and it's nice that planes haven't just been a one-sided affair. It's been quite nice and surprising with lots of upsets. The third game, we had the best team against the worst team, best being PSG versus Victory 3, and yeah, easily predictable, not all that much to say. We'll go into more details later in the video. Fourth game of the day was Unicorns of Love versus LGD. Now on paper this should have been quite a close game for Plains, but seeing as LGD have been slumping, as we've been saying over the past 3 videos, Unicorns were able to come away with the win, and I'll show you how later in the video. Now, the second last game of the day was a tiebreaker, as I said. Now, this game decided which team would finish first in this group, which is obviously quite important, and you'll find out why in the next slide. And PSG were able to come away with a win. The last game of the day saw the 2 worst teams in the group play in order to see who would finish fourth and who would finish last. LGD were able to come away with a win, which is still quite expected, seeing as though Victory 3 have looked really bad once again. So here we have the Group B standings, and here we can see that PSG finished top of the group and Victory 3 finished last. PSG are now automatically qualified to the group stages of Worlds, so really well done on them. They had 3 subs, so against all odds were able to top the group. And yeah, Victory 3 will go home and they will not be taking part in the rest of the tournament. Now the second place team, Unicorns of Love, will have to play one best of 5 against another team to determine whether they go to the group stages or the team that would beat them. And the third and fourth place teams will play against one another, and they need to win that game and then another one, and if they win the second game they'll go to groups. So yeah, it's not too complicated, but I might not have explained it very well, so if you guys are confused you can go Google it yourself. It's not that complicated, but yeah, what's important to note is that Victory 3 are gone and PSG are already secured for groups. First game of the day, like I said, Victory 3 versus LGD, 2 worst teams in the group, so it was quite a, I would say, tough game to predict, but also not really, since LGD are still the better team and Victory 3 have been looking really poor. What's important to look at in this game in terms of draft was Victory 3 drafted really badly The Lee Sin did absolutely nothing the whole game and was only picked because you can kick someone out of Kindred ult, which is a little minor counter, I guess, but in the grand scheme of things, not really worth it. He did not do anything in the game, like I said, and yeah, Longsheng on the Ornn had a really good game. He was able to solo kill Renekton in a matchup where many people feel as though Renekton should win the laning phase. I don't necessarily agree, but yeah, Longsheng had a good game, but still quite a worrying game from LGD because if you actually go back and watch the game, some of the objective fighting was not clean at all. Victory 3 could have very easily gone more Drakes, which could have resulted in a different result. But yeah, I think the draft diff was once again too high, and LGD just smashed Victory 3 really in terms of draft. You can see Kramer had a very good game on the Jhin, but yeah, that's about all for this game. Next game, we saw the upset of the day once again, Rainbow 7 versus Unicorns of Love. Rainbow 7 coming away with the win. Now, I've been talking a lot about Unicorns of Love's drafts being pretty nice and really cool, but this game was quite a disappointing one. They gave away 3 power picks in the Camille, Eve, and Lucian, and they tried countering them with Wukong, Skarner, Cassio. Now, it's important to note that yes, Wukong probably has a decent laning phase into Camille, but it's not like he's smashing her. Therefore, the Camille probably is still favored in the matchup, so it's not really doesn't really make sense just picking Wukong, especially since they picked it really early on in the draft, which meant that Rainbow Seven could counter it quite easily. The Skarner versus Eve matchup is quite nice for Skarner because of the late game team fights. He's able to just ult her and then she can't do anything. And Eve isn't exactly a champ that wants to build Quicksilver Sash, so it is a nice matchup, but it just didn't matter because in this matchup, Skarner needs to be able to get his team ahead so that the farm lead that Evelyn will get in the matchup isn't big enough, but the lanes that Unicorns of Love drafted simply weren't good, and Rainbow Seven just had a lot of space to get the Eve ahead, and she got off some nice ganks. But yeah, once again, not a fan of leaving up so many power picks and then trying to counter them. As you can see here, it didn't work out for Unicorns of Love. Next game, we had PSG Talon versus Victory 3. Now this game was just not. I don't even want to talk about it, but I will for the video. It's once again I sound like a broken record, but Victory 3 had probably, in my opinion, the worst draft of the tournament so far. We saw a Renekton coming out against an Ornn and a Galio going Predator into Syndra. It was a really bad game to watch. The Silas jungle is the thing that really got to me. Super bad pick at the moment. His clears are way too bad for him to be a viable jungler. The only reason why they picked him is because they saw some juicy ults on the side of PSG, but otherwise, Silas jungle got outpaced by Kongyue's Kindred, and Kongyue Uniboy ran away with the game. Ace and Buggy did absolutely nothing the whole game, and yeah, it was just, you could see Syndra, Kindred, super hard carried, and then they have the support of Rakan, Kindred, Ornn. Just not a good game from Victory 3, and this game is the reason, this is a prime example of why Victory 3 are going home and will not be taking further part in the tournament. Another game, Unicorns of Love versus LGD. Now, think most people, judging from how the tournament's gone so far, would have predicted Unicorns of Love to win, and they did. A questionable draft from LGD once again. I'm not a fan of volley top at the moment. I don't think it does anything really. And the biggest thing to note here is that LGD had zero way of dealing with Gadget's Twitch. And if you're giving Gadget a hard carry like Twitch, you're and you're not dealing with it, you're probably going to lose the game. Gadget has looked more than capable of carrying games, whether it's on a mage or marksman, and this was one of those games. LGD could not touch Gadget, especially with an Alistair, with a Syndra, with an Anashik building the Athenes, and yeah, Kindred on the side. Next game. This game was an important one. This one would decide which team would finish first in the group, which was obviously really big, and PSG were able to come away with the win. What I liked about PSG's draft this game is that they went for the GP, which is a nice pick into Renekton, but also that champion can absorb so much pressure, and that was the case. Unicorns of Love tried diving Hanabi on the GP and it didn't work out, and that freed up Conway and Uniboy to play around bot side, get themselves fed, shut down the Israel, shut down the barge roaming, and yeah, I did not like Unicorns of Love's draft. Once again, I thought they had a really bad drafting day yesterday. The Ez, Bard, Ziggs does not mesh well with Hecarim, Renekton, and yeah, PSG had a nice scaling composition with the Oriana, GP, Senna, Lilia, Rakan. I'm a huge fan of scaling, so I like that. Something that you might notice is in fact the gold chart, which is quite interesting. You can see that Unicorns of Love actually had a lead, and at the 26-minute mark, you can see that PSG got the Baron. Now, this shows you that if you were to go watch the game around the 26-minute mark, PSG won a fight against Unicorns of Love that they was just a sign of that PSG had scaled in and Unicorns had not built a big enough lead for them to outscale PSG. So that's something that isn't too difficult to understand. PSG just managed to get the item breakpoints they needed and they won the game. If you want to see how that really works, you should go watch this game. It was a pretty good game. I liked it. So yeah. Now this was the last game of the day and the second tiebreaker. This one would decide which team would be going home, which would eventually be Victory 3. Once again, not a good draft from Victory 3. Kind of tired about talking about how badly they draft, but I will. The Camille got countered by, well, not countered. Essentially, Jack's Camille is a skill matchup, but seeing as though Longsheng is a better player than Paz, it's essentially a counter. You can see Longsheng outperformed Paz. You could see that Victory 3 picking Elise into Graves makes no sense. Graves loves that matchup. He smashed Boogie, and you could see that in his KDA. And once again, bot lane of LGD being consistent. They've been the most consistent part of the team this plains, and Kramer's been having a really nice tournament so far. And I'd like to also point out the Xayah pick. Absolutely no reason to be picking Xayah here. As you can see in the band charts, Ashe was up, Senna was up, Caitlyn was up, even Ezreal was up. Like, why are we picking Xayah? I mean, they didn't even pair Rakan with it. It just makes no sense from Victory 3. I have no idea what they were doing. And yeah, quite a straightforward game, nothing much else to say. So that's going to conclude it for my Players Day 3 report. I would just like to say that I will be making another video at some point which will be talking about what I've thought of planes so far, some points around planes, but it will be a bit more free flow, won't have much structure. I'm just going to be talking really, and it's more for people who are interested in the more detailed stuff about League of Legends. So if that's not really your thing, then don't bother. It's not the video for you. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.